All right. Welcome back to Miami. And now we've got Jannik Sinner, who he's kind of the defending champion. He didn't get to defend the title last year because of you know why. But he is the defender. He's not defending any points, but he is coming into this tournament having won the last one that he played. And we'll see whether or not he can win it again and win the Sunshine Double, because that's something that hasn't happened for a while. We haven't seen a Sunshine Double on the men's side for a while, but he's playing Dzumhur. This should be a favorable matchup. Dzumhur hasn't got any massive weapons that and consistency is his weapon and speed, but Sinner's got that. It's probably it feels kind of like a bit of a Demon or Sinner matchup, maybe. It would be a massive upset of one of the biggest upsets of all time, or one of the biggest upsets of the 2020s for sure, if it happened. But let's see. Jones wasn't injured. She looked like she was sick, so she wasn't. She looked like she wasn't feeling well. How much is Sinner going to win by? I have no idea. Fokina lost? Damn. By the way, chat, I did find the Runa article that was being referenced in the last stream. By the way, if you are a Sinner fan, I'm so sorry we're bringing this up, but we have to. So Runa, this is what Runa was saying in an interview. He said, it gives me the belief that I know I can do it, and every time I step on court against them, Sinner and Alcaraz, I know I have a chance to beat them. And I know that both of them find it uncomfortable to play me, so that's extra motivation for me. I detect no lies. And then he goes on to talk about the frustrations of the current landscape of tennis, and this is where I think people started getting their, started getting a little bit annoyed. He said, with just two guys making finals and winning everything, it gets boring, to be honest. I think there needs to be more guys to challenge them, not just one tournament, but consistently. I detect no lies. My mind hasn't... then he talks about his setback and the injury. And he said, my mind hasn't really changed on what my ultimate goal is. It's really the same that it's always been, to be the top of the game and to win Grand Slam titles. And then he talks about his rehab and he says, going well, moving in the right direction. I started running yesterday. So that's what he said. And like, but like, this is what happens, right? So he says that he they interview him. He gives out, he answers those questions. And then then you just see like, he called Alcaraz boring, like that kind of shit. And you're like, oh, okay. He didn't say Alcaraz is boring to watch. He said that it's boring that Alcaraz and Sinner win everything. Again, if you've been here for a minute, you know that that's very... I've been saying that for ages. Runa's not saying anything that hasn't been said before. And then and by the way, anyone who's like, oh, he's, but who said... What did that guy say in the last stream? Didn't he say that... Didn't he say that... Did he say that Alcaraz and Sinner that Runa's better? Runa thinks he's better than Sincaraz? That didn't happen. Unless it's a part of the article I'm not reading, or it's part of the interview that I'm not reading. Didn't that other guy that maybe you got to again? That's why you got to send me this shit, because I'm trying to find it and I might find the wrong one. But this happened yesterday, or the other day. But again, no lies detected. That he thinks that Sincaraz find it hard, uncomfortable to play him. That's not a lie. They do. Look at the results. So again, I don't think Runa's saying anything out of. He's not saying anything we're not all saying. like he's not saying anything that hasn't been said before. Like yes, and you might not like what he said. Doesn't mean he's wrong. You don't have to agree with it, but Again, I have no problem with Runa talking like that either. I think that's great. But like, if you read the headline, boring comment about Sinner and Alcaraz. You're like, that's not what he said. He didn't call them boring. He said it's boring that they win everything. There's a difference between calling Sinner out boring and him saying Sinner winning everything is boring. That's a difference. But of course, if you don't read it, nothing wrong with what Runa said. Exactly. Again, you don't have to like what he said. You might be like, no, screw that guy. I don't like what he said. That's fine. You don't have to agree with him, and you don't have to like it. But I mean, he's not saying anything. I mean, again, if you read the whole thing, he's not saying anything that bad. He's just saying it's kind of boring that two guys win everything. We need to step up. You know, the other people need to step up. And then, yeah. By the way, again, I'm not reading anything that he said he thinks he's better than Sinner. So I don't know where that guy got that from, unless that was just his assessment of the conversation. But yeah. Yeah, I think the word boring is the standout from that. The fact that he said it gets boring, people are like, boring? What's boring? You can't say boring. How dare you? People freak out about it. Who's boring? Hang on. You can't say that. You can't. Sinner not boring. What do you mean? But yeah, I detect no lies. I mean, Runa just said literally what we've been saying for what? Chad, how many times last year was I like, oh, Sinner again? Can we get something else, please? I've been saying this since Sinner come back in Rome. After Roland Garros, I was like, after Wimbledon, I was like, oh, come on. Can we not get Sinner? Can somebody else? Like, Runa's saying what we've been saying. He's just a tennis player and he's not allowed to say those things, apparently. Just like Fonseca's not allowed to call someone a robot, even though he's just explaining how, you know, somebody's game is very, like, consistent and, like, hard to beat because of his robotic, you know, this. Like, he doesn't show emotions. Like, that's not like he's a robot. He's like... I love that they're saying these things because they're saying what we're all thinking. I don't think, and they're not saying anything wrong. Yeah, we need Runa back quick. People don't read the articles properly anymore. They just read that with their biases of someone already in place. Runa has said and done things that some people don't like. He said nothing wrong. Well, yeah. But yeah, I mean, again, I don't know if that guy left or what, but if he does come back, that article didn't, I mean, that interview didn't seem like Runa said he thinks he's better than Sinner and Alcaraz, or he can, and when he said, I mean, he can beat Sinner and Alcaraz, that's the thing. Runa's not saying like this with an 0-5 record or an 0-10 record. He's not coming out and be like, yeah, Sinner and Alcaraz fear me, and you're like, bro, you've never beaten them. No, he's beaten both of them in like finals. And he's like, for some reason, whenever he plays Sinner, there's this kind of like weird energy. Go watch Monte Carlo from like 2-3 years ago. When they played, Runa was like, I don't know what it was, but Sinner looked as frustrated as I've ever seen him. For some reason, Runa just doesn't, they just don't, I don't know what it is. There's some weird energy there. And then obviously he beat him in Barcelona, beat Alcaraz in Barcelona. I know Alcaraz was injured, but still, Runa's game is, yeah. Again, he's dangerous. What do you want him to say? You want him to say, "Oh no, they are ahead of me, and I am never going to be like them. They are the greatest players I've ever seen." And what do you want? That guy, the guy who says that is not gonna win. He's not gonna beat them. Anyways, I don't mind that. Same with Fonseca. I don't mind what he said either. Runa thinks too high of himself. Have you ever heard the term of being your biggest fan? Have you ever heard of that term? Like Runa is his biggest fan. In the best way. Like, I don't think there's anything wrong with bigging yourself up. I don't think there's anything wrong with Runa thinking too high of himself. What, he's supposed to think that he's not better than them? Like, I don't get that. Like, I feel like yeah, okay, going out there and saying ridiculous statements and saying like being arrogant and saying like crazy things that are totally delusional, untrue. Like, you know, I'm going to win a career slam. Sinner and Alcaraz are never going to beat me again. Like, those kind of things are like, But he didn't say any of those things. He literally just said, it's boring that they win everything, and I make them uncomfortable. True. Like, correct. Again, you don't have to like him. You don't have to like it. But I have no problem with him bringing that energy. We've got humble, right? We've got humble. We've got Sinner and Alcaraz. They're humble. We also need the other side. We need people that strut around with a bit of a confident swagger. We need players that believe they can beat them, even if it's very tough to do. Like, I don't want everybody to be humble. I don't want everybody to be, buddy. We've got enough of that. But we also need the other side of things. Make it interesting. Runa talks the talk, but he doesn't walk the walk. Bro, he's beaten Djokovic at a 1,000 at like 19. Okay, he hasn't made a Grand Slam final yet, and he's behind Alcaraz and Sinner when it comes to that. But thinking that Runa can't walk the walk, you haven't watched Runa. Right now Runa literally can't walk the walk because he's got an Achilles injury. So he's he's injured. But when his injury heals, he will be able to walk the walk for sure. Hewitt had the exact same dose of arrogance. Bro, you're saying that because Hewitt's my favorite player and you're trying to get at me. I'm taking that personal. Don't you come at me. Hewitt did have that energy. Yeah, because nobody could beat Roger. You have to have it. Again, I don't have no problem with that. But if it makes you cry, make sure you buy extra tissues when Runa plays. Same thing happened with Novak versus Nadal. Exactly. I mean, that's exactly how Novak was treated, or the way that people are going to treat Runa or treat Fonseca or whatever. That's exactly what, God forbid these guys say, I think I can beat these guys. Yeah, Djokovic came up and was doing impressions and then saying, being like, yeah, I can, Federer and Nadal are good, but, I'm also good. And Djokovic got, for up until this day, Djokovic got hammered for that, or was disliked, right? But he also became the greatest player of all time, so who cares? And Runa and whoever else. Well, so many times. Who's the third guy? Who's the big three guy? Who's the whatever? There might not be one. There might be multiples. But again, yeah, Djokovic was God forbid somebody says, oh yeah, I want to win a slam too, please. Can I win? I'm going to win one too, right? No, you're not allowed. It's Sinner and Alcaraz only. It's BS. But again, if you don't have to like it. It's fine. But I'm still you're not saying anything wrong. I was a scapegoat, unfortunately. Yeah. I wonder if Runa and Djokovic are friendly too. So I wonder if Djokovic being the mentor and the kind of the because he does. Again, Djokovic doesn't get enough credit for it, but he does seem to congratulate the young guys, talk them up and stuff, and, guide them where he can. I reckon Runa, by the way, Runa has got Djokovic's old physio. I noticed that in a video. The physio that was on the Djokovic team is now on Runa's team in his recovery, which I think is really interesting. But I wonder if Runa's going to rely on Djokovic over how do you deal with the pressures of being the third wheel? Because Djokovic has dealt with that his whole career. And I think for Runa to learn how it is to be the unpopular third guy or whatever, right? It's a world of Sincaraz like it was a world of Nadal. And then you're coming into trying to disrupt that. You're going to get a lot of hate. How to deal with that? I think Runa should talk to Djokovic about that because Djokovic dealt with it literally firsthand. And they're friendly enough that I think Djokovic would be able to go, yeah, look, this is what happened to me. It's not fair. I feel like this year, we've learned, a lot of people probably learned from that that was wrong, that people just treated Djokovic as a bad guy because he wasn't, we already have these guys. We don't need you. So I wonder if Runa's going to, look, he's probably asking that already, asking those questions. Because it's interesting, because Sinner and Alcaraz obviously dominate. But and the Sinner and Alcaraz fans don't want more competition. Obviously, you guys don't want more competition, and that's fine. Totally understand, right? You want it to be, Sinner has to worry about Alcaraz, Alcaraz has to worry about Sinner, and everybody else can step aside. But there are going to be guys that are going to come in and try and push them off and off their pedestals and try and take their titles, right? Steal their slams, all that stuff. And they're not going to get liked because, it's a Sinkeraz world right now. There's no room for anybody else. It's so similar to Fadal. Like where we were in 2007 is where we are right now, right? If you look back and I remember watching all that, Federer stepped up. He, lapped everybody, Roddick and Safin and Hewitt and Albandi and all these guys and, all these really good players and all these future Hall of Famers, Federer stepped it up like Alcaraz has stepped it up over the last couple of years. And then Rafa joined him, like Sinner's kind of joined him as well. And then it was two guys dominating until Djokovic came along and went, you know what? I'm going to get a slam here. I'm going to take this one. And then Murray came along, right? And then Stan came along, right? It's very interesting to see what's going to happen over the next couple of years, whether or not, we get a bit of a repeat of that. Like, does somebody else win the Australian Open next year? Does somebody else win a slam this year, right? That's from that, that same generation. It is very interesting. Go look at 2000 and maybe 2004 to 2007. Yeah, okay, Safin won a slam and whatever. But the similarities between where we are now and that time is very interesting. It's very, very interesting. Up until 2008, we're in a very similar world, tennis world. Yeah. All right. Now that we've talked about Runa at length, let's talk about Sinner. Can he win the Sunshine Double? That is the question. Probably one of the most underrated things to do. Not easy winning the Sunshine Double. It's like, we've seen, Sunshine Double. Yeah, that's a thing that people do. It's not a thing that everybody does. It doesn't happen that often. It's actually very rare. Only a few people have done it. Let me have a look at who has done it. I know Federer did it a bunch of times, and that made it look easy. But Federer's pretty good at tennis. I don't know if you've heard. He's not bad. Where is it? I'm trying to find who's done it. Swiatek was the last player to do it back in 2022 when she went on that phenomenal run. Where is it? And then Federer did it a couple times. I think he did a couple times in a row, which is crazy. Where is it? I can't find it. I think Raducanu was the last player to come close to doing it. I think. Because she came close in 23, right? She made the final of Miami, lost to Collins, right? All right. Where is it? Yeah, so Sunshine Double. So Djokovic has done it 4 times. Roger's done it 3 times. Then you've got Agassi, Rios, Sampras, Chang, and Courier. Now, remember, Sunshine Double has only become a term since 1990. So, yeah, okay, some players might have won at Indian Wells Miami back in the 70s, but this only accounts for the ATP, which formed in 1990. Also, the Clay Double, which is a thing apparently, which we call the Dirty Double. The Summer Double, Canada Cincinnati. By the way, Clay Double is Madrid Rome. And then the Summer Double. That's not. We can figure out a better name than that. But yeah, the Sunshine Double is infamous, and has been achieved by a few guys, but hasn't been done since Federer did it back in 2017. And Novak did it back in 2016. So it's been almost 10 years since we've had the Sunshine Double completed. Alcaraz has had chances. Sinner's got his chance. There's a backhand return. 15 love here. He's got a forehand out from Dzumhur into the forehand of Sinner. Dzumhur backhand. Into the forehand of Sinner as Dzumhur goes again with the backhand to the backhand of Sinner. In the backhand of Dzumhur. Sinner backhand again. To the backhand of Dzumhur. Now it's Sinner with the backhand up the line. Dzumhur gets it back with a forehand to the backhand of Sinner. Dzumhur slice. Goes long. It's 30 love. And also, it's never happened at this venue on the men's side. So when the Sunshine Double was done in 2017, it was done back at the old Crandon Park for the Miami Open. So no one on the men's side has been able to win the Sunshine Double coming to this venue. Swiatek did it back in 22. But yeah. So it would be a first if Sinner was to do it here. And I guess you're probably asking, well, Cam, how close have other players been in the recent times? Well, Alcaraz has been close. Let me have a look. Sinner, good serve, 40 love. So this tournament moved in 2019. Team won, and I remember this because it was a big deal. Team won in Indian Wells, but then he lost like second round of Miami. Then 2020, we didn't have the tournaments. 2021, Hurkacz won Miami. Indian Wells was at the end of the year, so wasn't really an opportunity to win the Sunshine Double. Fritz won Indian Wells 2020 with a foot problem, and then I think he withdrew. No, sorry, he made the fourth round of Miami. He lost to Kecmanovic. But he did have an injury in that final, if you remember. Alcaraz, 2023, won Indian Wells and lost in the semi-finals to Sinner in 2023 in one of the most epic matches they've ever played. 2024, Alcaraz won Indian Wells and then lost to in the quarterfinals to Dimitrov. And then last year, Draper won Indian Wells and then lost to Menchik in the first round or the second round of Miami, who end up winning the tournament. So, yeah. Alcaraz has been the closest to do it by making the semis after winning the title in recent times. Federer did make the final of Indian Wells and then won Miami in 2019. So he technically, I guess, was the closest to doing it, but he lost Indian Wells, so he never really was on the Sunshine Double run anyway. But yeah. So let's see. No, Alcaraz didn't do it in 24. He lost to Sinner in Miami, and Sinner won the title. After winning Indian Wells, she lost to Kvitova. Oh, Raducanu lost to Kvitova. So she lost to Collins a year after, right? She lost to Collins in 24 then. That makes sense. I'm getting confused. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. All right, Sinner holds, one love. So yeah, Jannik Sinner trying to join the Sunshine Double Club. All right, someone in the crowd is screaming at the top of their voice. They are loud. All right, 4-4 rally. There's been a drop shot from Dzumhur. Sinner with the backhand up the line. Dzumhur with a lob. But then Sinner puts away the smash. All right, 15. Love 15. 23 to 25 feels like 1 year, to be honest. True. It's all a blur. 2021 to 2024 was a blur. But that was all 1 year, right? That was one long year. Tien's out? Yeah, I saw that. I did see that. There's been a forehand pass. Oh, is that in? What a shot! Sinner with the forehand winner on the stretch. God damn, he is hitting the lines already. Love 30. That is crazy shot. Sinner is already playing ridiculous tennis. Love 30. So in the forehand, Sinner, return goes out. 15-30. By the way, Zhang is serving for the set against Stevens. We've got Andreeva and Bencic playing matches soon. FAA is coming on soon as well. Oh, it's all happening. Oh, pardon me. As Sinner. Oh, wins the point. Dzumhur hit the forehand wide. 15-40. It's probably hard because you don't get a break between tournaments if you go on a deep run. 100%. 100%. Also, the surface speed change has got to be up there as that goes out by Dzumhur. But yeah, no, you're 100% correct. Going from Indian Wells, which is already a hard tournament being 2 weeks, and then backing it up to do it 2 more weeks in Miami. Also, you got to remember like how different Indian Wells and Miami are weather-wise. You know, you're going from desert heat to sweaty humidity, right? So totally physically different. I mean, now that they've got the court difference, right? Because Miami's a faster. I don't know if Crandon Park was as slow as Indian Wells was back in the day, but yeah, there's that court speed difference, so you got to deal with that. Yeah, but definitely, yeah, you're right. The lack of time between events definitely a major factor in why it's very hard to win the Sunshine Double. Miami suits Sinner much more. Oh yeah, no, I picked Sinner to win Miami. You know, before the Sunshine Double, I thought it would be Alcaraz, Indian Wells, Sinner, Miami, but Sinner could win both. And who would have thought that, like, you know, 3 weeks ago, so many people were saying Sinner was done. Sinner's not even that good. Remember that? Remember when he lost to Menchik and like 1 million people were like, oh yeah, Sinner's game is actually really basic and everybody figured it out. Remember that? Remember when we heard those things? How crazy is that? And then he wins Indian Wells. Everyone's like, he's actually pretty good at tennis. Oh, crazy, chat. Crazy how different, how things change. Like I said, chat, it's like whiplash. Tennis is a whiplash sport. You know, you just go, one thing happens, and what the hell? Now we're going with this opinion. Just everyone's got an opinion on Sinner. This week, Sinner's a terrible tennis player that hasn't got any attributes. And then he wins Indian Wells and he's like, oh, well, actually, no, he's really, really good at tennis. No, 30-15. Now, my favorite comment was Sinner. People have figured out Sinner. That was funny. I was like, oh yeah, they figured out Sinner like they figured out Swiatek. I'm like, have they? All right. I mean, Menchik played pretty well that day. He did win Miami last year, remember? 40-15, Sinner with an ace. All right, 40-15. Sinner looks to go to 3-love. Good serve down the tee. And the return the net by Dzumhur, and it's 3-love. My pet peeve with televised tennis is that the lack of scoreboards during changeovers. So many times I tune in during the match changeovers and there's no score on screen. Really? I'm looking at the changeover now. I guess that's because during the changeovers, usually on TV, they have ads. But by the way, if you do want to watch this, you can scan the QR code. There's a link down below. We're collabing with Tennis TV app this year. So go check that out. The new app, they've got all these new features. But yeah, I think it's because during the changeovers, especially on television, they play commercials, right? So when you're watching on on Tennis TV or whatever, they don't show commercials during the changeovers like they do on, normal television. So it is odd that they don't put a scoreboard on the screen, but maybe they will. Maybe in the future that'll be something that happens. They'll put a little score box in the corner at the change of ends, to keep to get that. I mean, it wouldn't be that hard to do. To have like a little bit of a, just like a scoreboard on. They could literally leave the scoreboard in the bottom corner, right? Not a bad idea. Why do people overreact when one of the top players loses? It's a year with many tournaments. People need to wait until the end of the year. Make overarching comments. I get that, but it's also sports, right? People are passionate. People get, and I'm the same, right? I'm not immune to being overreactive and emotional during those upsets, right? Or during those things. It's just sports. People get excited. People get angry, like upset. Everyone's just got their just highly emotional during those moments, But then when we the benefit of hindsight, and we kind of like chill, we're like, oh, okay, maybe that was a little bit over the top. It is fun, but like then there's those people that like goes too far, and they're like, oh yeah, Sinner is actually not good at tennis, and you're like, well, that's not true. He just had a bad loss for him, or a random loss for him. I think the same thing happened after the Bublik match. When he lost to Bublik, I think a lot of people were saying the same thing, like, oh man, Sinner's not very good. And you're like, wait a second. Maybe he just got beaten by a certain type of player. 30 love Dzumhur. But look, it's sports, right? All right, as with a backhand to backhand rally. Into the backhand slice of Sinner. Backhand drop shot from Dzumhur is good. Sinner pushes it wide on the approach. And it's 40 love. As a return goes a slice of Dzumhur. And a forehand inside in by Sinner is good. Dzumhur gets it. And then Sinner shakes the forehand long. What a weird shot for Sinner. All right. Let's be honest. Tennis would be dull without Alcaraz. No, because there's still Fonseca and stuff. By the way, it is fun to if we didn't have Alcaraz, right? And let's say Sinner was like dominating. That would not be that dissimilar to Federer dominating back in the 2000s. Like Federer just crushing everybody and showing no emotion, like just being so cold and savage with it, was a whole thing. And then Rafa come along and started like, Vamosing his way to titles. But like, I don't think it would be dull if Sinner was kicking everyone's ass like a Terminator. Like, I don't think that's dull at all. Would I enjoy it? Well, I didn't really enjoy Federer kicking Leighton Hewitt's ass, so maybe it would have like, PTSD, but and flashbacks to the time where my favorite player was getting smacked, but that's a me problem. But I think there would be something very interesting in Sinner dominating. If there was no Alcaraz, it'd be very interesting to see Sinner be the dominant force in tennis with his demeanor and his court presence being just such a ice cold killer. Like that would be very interesting. But that's not a reality that we live in. We live in the reality of Sinner and Alcaraz. So, but that's what's so good about them too, that they're so different personality-wise. Like Sinner does not like press conferences, and Alcaraz is too nice to say that. He doesn't want to. He might not like him either. But I don't think most tennis players probably don't like him, to be fair, because they get asked the same questions every week. As we get a volley there from Sinner's too good, 30-15. But Alcaraz is the highlight reel. He's the flash, he's the flashy player. He's the, he's the glitz and glamour kind of, not the glamour, but he's the glitzy kind of, he's the fireworks, right? He's the fireworks display. Whereas Sinner is just the, he's just the punch in, punch out, go to work, get it done. No fancy, no frills, no, he's very like, I'm going to just win. Like that, But I love that we have both of them. Again, it is very Federer and Nadal. Federer was very like, I'm going to button up my shirt. I'm going to rock up to the tennis. I'm going to play my game. And I'm going to leave. And Rafa's just like starts roaring before he even walks out on court. Rafa's vamosing in the locker room before he even gets out on court. Pumping himself up, doing the fucking running around, doing the dance, doing that like sprint to the baseline, It's awesome. Anyways, that was fun. It was fun to have that kind of different, that duality, as somebody said in the chat earlier, which is a great word. All right. And then Djokovic came along and things got really interesting. Okay. Sinner's winning 4-1. I love the Rafa routine, yeah. All right. Carlos made me watch tennis again. Hey, love that. Love that. Rafa Vamos, his way is hilarious. I miss Rafa so much. He'll be back for the Olympics. To coach. Roddick's story of Nadal Vamosing after he managed to open his locker that was giving trouble at a tournament. The first had me dying. Yeah. I heard that story too. It's funny. It is truly great to have them both. Yeah, for sure. Sinner doing a press conference is like Killer doing a police investigation. I don't get the reference. All right. That goes in the net by Dzumhur, and it's love 15. Cam, I still feel that Sinner will win at least 2 more Grand Slams than Alcaraz. Look, okay. Is it a flying out the line to the backhand of Sinner, backhand up from Dzumhur into the backhand of Sinner. Sinner hits it long, and it's 15-0. Look, I can see where that could be true. How do I, what am I trying to say? I think Alcaraz's game is a lot more high risk, high reward, but also like on his body. Now, Sinner has had injuries, right? But the way that Alcaraz plays with that intensity, with that physicality, that game could mean equal more injuries, right? Like Rafa's game, right? Look at Rafa. Rafa had way more injuries than Federer and Djokovic because of the way he played. Yes, okay, he had the foot thing from a young age, but you got to say that Rafa's game meant more injuries. Now, it didn't prevent him from being, one of the greatest of all time and winning so many slams and stuff, but there's always that what could have been had Rafa have stayed healthy for all of those tournaments. How many would he have won? All that stuff. I feel like Alcaraz is on kind of like that. Like that could happen. There's a chance that could happen. That Alcaraz, with the way that he plays, it could mean that Sinner stays healthier for longer, which means that Sinner gets more opportunities. But then again, you can't really predict any of that stuff because injuries are freakish, right? We all say, what if Delpo wasn't injured, right? We always talk about the players that, had have stayed. What if Team didn't get injured, right? What would have happened right now? Would Team be able to compete with these guys? That's always, like, injuries are so random and so unpredictable. Sinner could, there's a chance, Sinner could be the one who gets injured, and we're thinking, oh man, if Sinner was healthier, what if, Alcaraz wouldn't have won it much, right? But, we don't know these things. But if you're looking at, game, that like Alcaraz puts so much, like the way that he runs to the ball, the high intensity and the high excitement as well, right? Because he does all those crazy things. That feels like it could have more toll on his body, which means that Sinner could, has more longevity, maybe. But again, Sinner's had his share of injuries. But I could see that Sinner could win. But I think Alcaraz has a higher ceiling, and I think Alcaraz is also younger, so Alcaraz got more time. If Sinner and Alcaraz were the same age right now, I could maybe agree that Sinner could win more slams. But because Alcaraz has got 2 years less, 2 years more time, or 3, how 2 years younger, right? I still think Alcaraz is going to have more slams. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from if it's from that point of view of that. And also, there's also motivation. Like Alcaraz, he might do enough in tennis and go, you know what, I'm good. Like there is no way of knowing if Alcaraz is going to stick around long enough to get more slams. He might have more slams now, but then he might be like, you know what, I'm 30. I want to go do something else. He might be like, yeah, I'm good. I've done enough tennis. And Sinner could play to like 35 or 40, right? I mean, that's also something that could be a factor. But we'll find out in 10 years. 2035, we'll know these things. We'll have a clearer picture. As we got a 4-1 rally. 4-1 on the stretch from Sinner. Up the line from Dzumhur. Too good. Love 15. Sinner will move to Formula 1, while Alcaraz will move to Padel. Really? That was just a joke, right? We were just making a joke. All right. Love 15. I think Sinner wants to retire first. He wants to move to motorsports. Where is this coming from? Oh, you were making a silly joke. Somebody else was taking that seriously, I think. What, is it because he went to the F1s once? Lob goes up from Dzumhur. In comes Sinner. Dzumhur's going to get there with a slice, but it's in the net. 15-0. Wonder how many subscribers we'll have in 2035? 1 million. 1 million. 15-0. Verstappen at 28 years old said so many times that I can retire tomorrow without any regrets. Yeah. Well, see, that's the thing. We're especially in tennis, we're so used to having Nadal, Djokovic, Federer going for like the greatest of all time status. Yeah, there could be a world that this generation go, you know what? I don't want to play till 40. That doesn't appeal to me. Like that could definitely be a thing. That this generation are like, you know what? They can have their records. I don't care. I've done so much in my career. I don't care. I don't need to be the greatest of all time. I'm still a bloody good player and I'm going to be Hall of Fame and whatever. And they could retire way earlier than Djokovic and Federer, right? These guys might not play till 40. They might play at 30 and go, yeah, I'm good. I'm going to go do something else now. Like, life is more important than tennis, Like, there's more things outside of tennis. But we're just so used to having, like, Serena play and Venus play and all these great players play so long. But the younger generation might not have that, that motivation, right? They might not care. Yeah, like Borg Borg retiring early, right? Like all those, like that was, yeah, we don't know. We won't know. Just because Djokovic is 38 playing doesn't mean Sinner and Alcaraz are going to be 38 and playing. They might get to 32 and be like, they might have a young family by then. They might have other things they're interested in that they want to go pursue. Like there's no guarantee that we're going to get Sinner and Alcaraz playing at 40. As Sinner hits a volley long, 30-40. Like we can't just assume that. And it kind of does feel like, especially watching a lot of players having like, mental health breaks and not playing for it. Like Anisimova, for example, right? Taking her time, even Eva Lee's talking about how she just likes to enjoy her time, like not just, be tennis. She likes to also do other things outside of tennis, right? And not, be just driven by, I have to be a tennis player and do nothing else. Like the younger generation seem to be more like that than the Djokovic, Nadal, like it's tennis or nothing, right? So yeah, as Sinner today. So there is, there could be a chance where, and I hope it doesn't happen because obviously we want to see Sinner and Alcaraz play as long as and as much as we want. As fans, we're greedy. We want so much from them, but they might just go, you know what? I want to go travel the world for a year. I want to go live in another country. Like they might just be like, I don't want to travel. I want to stay home for a year. Like they might just be like, yeah, I'm good. We don't know that. Yeah, enjoy life. Yeah, and Alcaraz is interesting because Alcaraz does. If I had to pick if Alcaraz or Sinner were going to retire early, I hope they both don't. But Alcaraz would definitely be. I feel like he is probably more likely to be. I'm good because he does prioritize living life over. We saw it. If you watch that documentary, going to Ibiza when the team are like, that's not a good idea. And he's like, I'm doing it. Celebrating after, those kind of things. Like he has those, it seems like right now he has those priorities of like, I'm not going to waste, I'm not going to miss life in my 20s by, locking myself on a tennis court for 20 hours a day. I'm going to go out and I'm going to celebrate my victories. I'm going to go have fun. I'm going to enjoy things. I'm not just going to be, put me in the tennis court and lock the gate, right? So yeah, but I hope but that's what makes Alcaraz great as well because he's also winning with that attitude. It's not like it's costing him anything. He's still the youngest player to win a career slam. He's still got 7 Grand Slams, right? Like none of those, that attitude is not at the detriment of his career. We might look in 10 years and be like, oh man, he got to this many slams. He could have had more if he had not partied. But then again, he's still damn good. Like we don't have I don't think he would have 10 slams if he didn't go to Ibiza. I think he still would have 7. Going to Ibiza didn't change that, right? But yeah. But it'll be interesting. It's interesting because I think it'll be interesting to see this younger generation. They might look at tennis as in a different way than what we're used to seeing players look at tennis. We're so used to seeing, Nadal, Federer, Djokovic. By the way, we got to also remember that they were also pushing each other, right, to get to those incredible numbers. So Federer probably doesn't play till 40 at 40 if he doesn't have to defend that record of 20 slams, right? Djokovic probably maybe doesn't play till 38 because he doesn't have to prove anything if he overtakes Federer at 30 instead, right? We don't know those things, but these guys might not be interested in the GOAT status. They might just be like, yeah, I'm just good. So there might be more players that do retire younger or do have a year off, in their prime or whatever. Be interesting to see what happens. Anyways, love 15. As Dzumhur comes in, puts it away, 15. Oh. 15. Oh. Curios brought back the fun and energy on court. Yeah. He doesn't get any credit for that, but yeah, anyways, backhand goes out by Sinner. It's 30-15. And I've said this before. I think Nick Kyrgios doesn't get any credit for how he was the first, at least in recent time, he was the first one to kind of show a different approach when it comes to how he goes about tennis. Bublik is kind of on the same path, but Bublik gets way like more celebrated for it because I guess Kyrgios was first to do it, and Bublik, the way that Bublik talks about how he approaches tennis is more applauded. I guess maybe because he says it in a different way, so it's a little bit more like, whereas Kyrgios, I guess, was a little bit more like, I don't like tennis, and we're like, oh wait, like he was a little bit more blunt with the way he went about, but like a lot of the things that Kyrgios did in the mid 2000s, the shot selection, the way he approached tennis, yeah, okay, he partied a lot, and maybe getting drunk before a Wimbledon match is not the best preparation, but again, like not taking tennis super seriously, too seriously. You got to think a lot of these guys, it almost gave like these guys permission to go, well, yeah, okay, maybe I can hit a tweener when it's not like the smartest shot selection, right? Maybe I can, go away after a Grand Slam, and go have a bit of a party and then blow off some steam mid-season, right? Like a lot of those things Kyrgios did, but he was ripped apart for, But a lot of players now, not every player, but there's a few players that are, maybe living that similar style of life, but not getting as much. I mean, the underarm serve was a huge thing. Sinner hits it out, 5-3. When Kyrgios did underarm serves, the entire world freaked out. And then when somebody, now people do underarm serves and we're like, whoa, there's an underarm serve. Like, yeah, okay, some people still hate it, but it's not as like, what is the word? Despised as it was when Kyrgios was doing it. Kyrgios does an underarm serve and everyone's like, you're a cheater. How dare you disrespect the game? And now someone does an underarm serve and you're like, oh yeah, they were standing pretty far back. 5-3. But anyways, return goes out by Dzumhur and it's 15-love. That's fun, but Kyrgios didn't want that. Well, look, that's the thing, right? I mean, yeah. I mean, that's what's going to happen, right? People are going to be like, well, yeah, Kyrgios should have won a slam, though. Alcaraz has won a slam, so he can go and party. He earned that right. No, okay, well. But I still think a lot of things, the way that Kyrgios has approached his game and how he's taken, and maybe he might regret that in the future, I don't know, but the way that Kyrgios, the way he looks at tennis, with rankings don't matter and stuff like that, is an interesting approach. And I think a lot of other players might. I think he took so much shit. As Sinner serves an ace 40-love. He got a lot of shit for things that now we don't really question. Like, oh yeah, Alcaraz went off to Ibiza after whatever. Okay, that's fine. Again, I don't think Alcaraz is partying before a Grand Slam match or anything, but like, I don't know. There's just some things that Kyrgios did. His approach to tennis, that maybe shouldn't have been like as some of the things, not all the things, some of the things shouldn't have been ridiculed so much. Lob goes up, smash from Sinner's too good. There's the set, 6-3. But also you got to think of the times. 10 years ago, the standard or the benchmark was being like Federer, Nadal, Djokovic. If you're not like them, you're not trying to be like them, then you're not doing tennis right. Nowadays, the standard is Sinner and Alcaraz. So if Alcaraz is going off to Ibiza after doing, losing in, or whatever, or he's going off and blowing off steam, it kind of gives everybody else permission. Well, if he's the best player and doing that, then I can do that too, right? So you got to also remember the times, that Kyrgios was being, everybody at the time was being judged by what Rafa and Roger and Novak were doing and how they approached the game is the right way. They're not here now. Well, Novak is, but the others aren't here now. How Alcaraz approaches the game is like, well, that's how, if you're allowed to live out, you don't have to live in the tennis world 24/7. You can have a life. And that will give permission. And again, I think Kyrgios, if Kyrgios was playing today as like a 25-year-old, he probably would not be getting, he wouldn't have gotten as much shit as he did 10 years ago for the way that he approached the game. Commentate, please. No storytelling. I know. I know. I'm trying to wrap it up. I'm trying to That's enough. We'll move on. Sinner was just winning easily. We didn't miss much. 6-3. Sinner just cruised. Atman serving for the match against Rinderknecht. Nice. Curios was off the scale reckless. He has meant to do... Yeah, well, yeah. I'm not saying... That's what I said. I'm not saying that, how Curios did things, he should be praised for everything he did. There's a lot of things that, partying before... But I think there's a lot of things that, Kyrgios... I think that not taking his tennis, and you can say wasted talent, whatever. Not taking tennis so seriously and being well, it's tennis or nothing. What? Because back in the 2010s, you had to do that. But I think that the fact that he was you know what, I'm going to live my life and play tennis, but I'm not going to sacrifice my entire life to this. I think that did give some players permission to go, oh, we are allowed to do that. Okay. I thought that we had to only be in the gym and only be doing this one thing. I thought, I don't know. I feel like he should get a little credit for that. To kind of at least be the first one during a time when, tennis, I don't know. Anyways, whatever. I'm not saying everything he did was, should be copied. But just just not be not taking tennis as it's tennis or nothing. I think it gives a lot of players permission to be oh, okay, so I can live my life sometimes. 40 love. Oh, thank you, MC. Appreciate it. 40 love, Dzumhur. As the return goes in the forehand of Dzumhur. Drop shot's good. Sinner comes into the net. Up goes a lob by Dzumhur, but it's long. It's 4-15. Return goes in the forehand of Dzumhur. Backhand for Sinner. Into the backhand of Dzumhur. Sinner backhand again. Dzumhur goes again. The backhand of Sinner. There's gone backhand to backhand. As we got a backhand long by Sinner. And it's 1 love, Dzumhur. All right. Medvedev got his luggage. Yeah. That was funny. Not funny, but that was that was interesting. De Minaur, Draper, Runa losing this early wasn't on my bingo card. Oh, Rude. I can't read. Draper, De Minaur, Rude losing this early, not on my bingo card. Yeah. I feel I'm still with Draper, I'm still forgiving. He's not going to win. Draper's going to have losses because he's still coming back. He didn't play for 9 months. For 6 months. So I'm not too mad at Draper losing. I'm look, he's not going to be. He's going to take some time. He's not going to be. De Minaur lost the City Pass though. Head to head says that was supposed to happen. Rude, I don't know. I'm not super surprised Rude lost. I guess because Swiatek lost, nothing compares to Swiatek losing. That was the biggest. That nothing even compares to that. So I'm Swiatek lost. How crazy was that? 1 love Dzumhur in the second. As with a 4-4 rally. And that goes out by Dzumhur. 15 love. By the way, Osaka, Gibson are just about to start. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Gibson had a phenomenal week last week. And actually, they've already started. Osaka is 1 love. Also, Zhang is serving for the match against Stevens. All right, 15 loves. That goes out by Dzumhur. 30 love. Has Medvedev played yet? No, he's playing after this. Holy shit, Keys about to bagel Ruse. Also, Andreeva's about to start. 40 love Sinner. One game all. Sinner holds. And Keys did bagel Rose. All right. There's a backhand from Dzumhur. Goes the forehand Sinner. Dzumhur forehand goes long. And it's love 15. Hey, Leon. Thank you for the gift of membership. Appreciate that. Waiting for the clay season to start? Yeah. I'm excited for that. All right. Forehand up the line from Dzumhur. Into the backhand of Sinner. Dzumhur backing up the line to the forehand of Sinner. Dzumhur on the attack. Sinner gets it back with the backhand cross. And then Dzumhur in the net, love 30. Layla got the win. Yeah, she did. So wait, is it Fernandez versus Pegula? Is that a thing? Is that the match? As that goes in the net by Dzumhur, love 40. Love 40. Love 40 as Dzumhur serves. A fault, second serve. Fernandez beat Pegula in Washington last year. Ooh, that's going to be a banger. As return goes in the forehand of Dzumhur. Dzumhur in the net. Sinner breaks. Sinner gets the break. And there's 2 love in the second. Will we see the return of Klaverdev? I hope so. Klaverdev is amazing. I hope Medvedev wins Monte Carlo. That'd be awesome. I'd be all for that. That'd be awesome. All right. That would be great. Feast stays looking fresh. Yeah, Feast, Runa, Fonseca are saying, I love the way they're going about things. I just love what they're bringing to the table. They're saying all the right things. Zverev reached the semi-final of all Masters 1000s by doing it in Indian Wells. It's crazy to think that Sinner, if he reaches the Madrid semi, has achieved that as well. Yes. Yes. That is correct. Montevideo, yeah, that's it. That's it. Montevideo, let's have it. All right, 2-1 Sinner with a set and a break. Klaverdev will always be amazing. Is it too early for a breakfast burrito? No, it's 5 a.m. You can eat whatever you want. By the way, you can have breakfast any time of day. There's no rules. There are no rules. There is no law that says you must have breakfast before 11 a.m. Otherwise, you will get in trouble. You can literally eat breakfast whenever you want. You can eat breakfast at 9 p.m. at night. You can have a bowl of Fruit Loops at 9 p.m. It's okay. You can have an omelet for lunch. There are no rules, chat. There are suggestions. There are no rules. The suggestion is you probably shouldn't eat that before bed. But, yeah. Cam is a burrito. I don't know what the hell that means. You're a donut. 30 love. Sinner serves. A let. Defending champ Menchik is barely high and getting any hype. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. If he plays Sinner in the quarters, that'd be really hype. Great couch, thank you. I don't think people eat breakfast anymore. Definitely. As a return, goes in the forehand to Sinner. Sinner sprays it inside out. That's 4-15. As it back into backhand rally. Up the line from Sinner. Dzumhur gets it back to the backhand of Sinner to the backhand of Dzumhur. Dzumhur hits a wide 3-1 Sinner. Swiatek didn't slip. Competition improved, especially in how they play her. Yeah. See, this okay. I don't know if how you guys see Swiatek. We've been watching Swiatek since 2020, right? Since she won the French, right? And pretty much every match since 2022. Swiatek. So Barty steps away. Serena and Osaka, and also Halep. Remember? Because they were at the top of the game at the time, right? In 2022, it was Barty, Halep, Osaka, right? They were the big three, right? Barty retires. Halep Halep got injured, and then she had her positive test, right? And then Osaka stepped away. She was dropping down form anyway, and then she stepped away as well. Swiatek stepped into that number one role, and it looked great on her, right? She was the best. She was amazing. She went on a massive win streak. She kicked everyone's ass. She raised the bar. 2022, dominated. 2023, Sabalenka figured out how to serve. That was the big change then, right? But after, I think what was it 2022 where she nearly beat Swiatek at the US Open, but then Swiatek won, right? The off season of 22 was massive, or 23 off season before the Australian Open was massive at Sabalenka, right? Sabalenka figures out the serve. She's not the double fault queen. She then becomes a real threat for Swiatek, but she's the only one, right? Yeah, okay, Penko, but Sabalenka figured it out. Because she thought she could see Swiatek and go, shit, I need to learn how to serve. Otherwise, this lady is going to embarrass me. And she figured that out. So then Sabalenka improved. So then it was Swiatek, Sabalenka. But Swiatek was still more consistent. But then Raducanu starts to come along, right? And then Penko keeps being a problem. And Sabalenka starts becoming more of a problem consistently for Swiatek as well. Then Swiatek decides, in order to compete with these big hitters, I need to be a bigger hitter, right? And again, this is what I'm seeing. You guys might have a different view. Love 30 here as we're backing up the line of the forehand of Dzumhur. Forehand from Sinner is a drop shot, but it's in the net. It's 15-30. Then Swiatek decides the only way I'm going to be able to play against Sabalenka, Raducanu, Ostapenko is if I hit the ball harder or I try and go for bigger serves. She brings in Wim Fizet. They change, though they try and change those things. Beef up her serve. Try and hit the ball flatter rather than trying to be consistent. To try and not be attacked on the second serves or in the ground strokes. Especially, I think we need to put a lot of importance onto that 2024 match against Raducanu at the Australian Open for Swiatek. I think that moment, and even like the Collins matches, right, that happened in 24 where Collins was hitting the ball flat and Swiatek was getting outplayed. I mean, a lot of players that played that big hitting game Swiatek was struggled against. I think a lot of those matchups, Raducanu starting with Raducanu, that forced Swiatek to feel the need to change, not from the clay style to go to more of a bigger hitter, right? Again, this is all just what I'm seeing. And by changing that, she's increased her error count. She might have increased her serve and aces and whatever, but it's also her consistency's gone down because of that. She's not as consistent as she was. And then, which is giving more opportunities to players like Coco, who now can consistently beat her. Other players are now getting more chances to beat her because of the way that she plays. Does that make sense? So because she's hitting more errors, she's giving chances to players that usually wouldn't beat her if she was playing the way she used to play, which is giving them self-belief that they think, well, now I can beat Swiatek, whereas 3 years ago she was unbeatable. So I think it's like a combination. The competition's improved, but she's also changed her game to let players in. Does that make sense? And she did win Wimbledon. So, I mean, it's not like she changed her game and nothing worked. She won Wimbledon with the game style that she changed to, right? But I remember 2022, 23, 24, Swiatek was in the rallies. Her serve, yes, it got attacked. But as soon as the rally started, she would rip it. And it was very hard to beat her on the ground strokes, unless you hit the ball through her, which, again, wasn't easy to do, because you were going to do a lot of running. And now with Anisimova coming up, who's also in that, Raducanu Sabalenka type. Sinner hits a great return. Dzumhur hits it back. Sinner backhand up cross court. Dzumhur gets the right with a lob, but he missed it. Advantage Sinner. At least, again, this is all just from what this is how I've seen Swiatek over the years. I might be missing things, right? But I think that's how I've seen Swiatek's career go the last couple of years. Now, how did she fix that? Like I've said a million times, keep doing this until after Wimbledon and then assess the entire situation. As Dzumhur hits a winner, and we get back to deuce. Because, by the way, I don't think, like I've said a million times, changing things now, I feel like, would be reactionary. And she should wait for after Wimbledon to make a change or not change anything. All right, deuce. If she goes a year without winning a slam, that's when the things need to be assessed, I think. Had she not won Wimbledon, who knows where would be, but I think you've got to give the team that. As with a volley in the net from Dzumhur. But I've said that a million times, you know that. All right. Advantage Sinner. But yeah, chat, did I miss anything? She should be good on the clay, hopefully, yeah. I think we also got to remember that, 2024, Swiatek was unbeatable on clay, and then she had to defend all those points last year, which was very, very... and she didn't play bad on clay last year. She just didn't win everything like she was the year before. She set her bar so high that it was how is she ever going to replicate that near perfect? She won Madrid, India. She lost one match on clay, right? She lost to Raducanu in Stuttgart, and then she won Madrid, Rome, Roland Garros in 24. How the hell are you supposed to replicate that? And then last year, I think she lost, she lose? Semi-finals Stuttgart, semi-finals Madrid, and then third round Rome, which was a big shock to Collins, and then Roland Garros semis, right? So it wasn't a bad clay season. It just wasn't as good as we're used to seeing. So I don't think she's all of a sudden not good on clay. This year will be really interesting. If she doesn't win a clay title this year, that is a concern because she's built her game and her career on clay, right? I mean, they've been her clay wins have been, or her clay's titles have been the foundation of her career. So if she doesn't win any clay titles, you're thinking, oh shit, 2 years in a row? How does that happen? All right, 3-2. She hasn't won a clay title since, Roland Garros 24, right? Because she lost the Olympic final, which maybe that has an effect. Maybe we didn't factor that in last year. Also, she was unbeatable except for that Olympic gold medal and, Olympic run, and then, yeah. Yeah, it's her bread and butter, so yeah. Does Federer deserve a statue at Wimbledon? Does he deserve one? Yes. Will he get one? No. Wimbledon aren't going to make a statue. There's no way. They've never made a statue. They're not going to make one now. Does he deserve one? 100%. Are they going to do it? No. Why not? It's Wimbledon. They're not going to put a random guy. They're not going to put they're not going to do that. Wimbledon, that's not a Wimbledon thing. If you go to Wimbledon, they don't do that. They don't have the room to do that. But yeah, they don't name courts after players. They named a mound of dirt after the player. They named a mound of dirt. Henman Hill. Or Murray Mound, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, they're not going to give Federer a statue. Wimbledon have a Murray statue? When? Do they have a Murray statue now? When did they get a Murray statue? Where? Is it at Wimbledon? Like within the grounds? Where is it? This looks like AI. This is not a real statue. That's not a real statue. That's an AI. That's an AI. Likely statue to be erected in Wimbledon. This is in 2019. Where the hell is this statue? The All England Club are going to unveil it. By the way, chat, can we stop this BS? Like, you got tricked, brother, because this is an AI image. This is not a real statue. This is a fake AI statue. I don't know who this guy is. Is that Fred Perry? Fred Perry might have a statue. Yeah, Fred Perry has a statue at the All England Club, but he's like, that's. So yeah, sorry, there is a statue. It's Fred Perry. But yeah, by the way, you're 0 for 2, Francis, because you also said that Runa thinks that he's better than Sinner and Alcaraz, and that was wrong too. So you're 0 for 2. As that goes, why by Jim 40 love? You're 0 for 2 today, right? You gotta either stop reading headlines or stop getting tricked by AI images, because you're coming in here with like, oh well, Murray has a statue, and that's completely false. There's a conversation around it, but he doesn't have a statue. Yeah, Fred Perry, but they're not going to do one Federer. Fred Perry is English. Fred Perry, like one of the players that put tennis on the map, right? Federer, it's not in Wimbledon. Federer might get a statue in 100 years. I'm like, that Roger guy was pretty good. Also, Federer doesn't have the record, does he? Doesn't he? I mean, Martina has the record. She's not got a statue. If anyone should get a statue, it should be Martina. She has 10 Wimbledons. But yeah, sorry, I stand corrected. Fred Perry has a statue, but he's also like, I mean, he is a British tennis legend. British being the word, right? British, local, legend. But yeah, there's plans for Murray to maybe have one, but there's no he doesn't have one. They might give him one. Maybe they'll give him one if they expand the courts into the golf course. 15 love. But yeah, Wimbledon don't do that. But does he deserve one? Of course he does. Of course they do. Yeah, emphasis on British. Yeah, Fred Perry. Fred Perry is an exception. All right, 4-1 rally. Sinner with the set and the break. There's a bit of slice now from Dzumhur into the back end of Sinner, into the forehand of Dzumhur. Sinner forehand. Again to the forehand of Dzumhur, up the line, and it goes out by Dzumhur, and it's 15-0. 15-0. As with a drop shot now to the slice of Sinner, but oh, geez. Sinner went for a drop shot return, but he completely missed it. 30-15. I haven't been to Wimbledon in years, and I'm going this year. I thought they were giving him a statue. British tabloids again. Yeah, you got to stop reading those. Is it a back and rally? Up the line goes wide by Dzumhur, and it's 30-0. I feel like nobody reads. Does anybody read the tabloids? Everybody knows that is mostly BS, right? Like it's like it was clickbait before clickbait. Like that, you know what I mean? Like tabloids are literally just like headlines and like really not real. That's not news, right? I think we should know that by now. Don't be reading the tabloids. Also, if you do read the headlines, maybe just Google it and you can find out the actual answer. Just like that Runa thinks he's better than Sinner Alcaraz, which is not what he said. Again, don't read the headlines. Actually read the article and then do some extra research. That's the best way to stay informed. The internet is full of information. I must say Sinner doesn't play in a high level. So you're just trying to get attention? You can't read. Well, get somebody to read it for you. Don't try to predict Wimbledon women's champion. You have no chance, I guess, to guess well. Yeah. That is correct. The only tabloid I read is my local paper. I grab it at the train station. Yeah, that's different though. If you read your local paper, that's different. Zhang was out due to shoulder surgery. Yeah. Did you know that Alexandra Eala will be on the Andy Roddick podcast next Tuesday? I have heard that, yes. Gauff or Raducanu to win Wimbledon 100%. Okay. All right. Sinner with the set and the break. Now, speaking of Eala, she is coming up soon. She's after Anisimova, who's after Keys, and Keys is playing right now. I'm just trying to think. So Osaka is playing right now. I mean, we kind of have it. We could watch Anisimova. Maybe, I don't know. Or do we take this opportunity to take a break? Oh, Mboko's playing though. I don't know. Andreeva has Andreeva started? Yeah, Andreeva just started. That sucks because we could have watched Andreeva. Anyways, Fion goes up the line to the backhand of Dzumhur. Slice from Sinner as Dzumhur slice into the backhand of Sinner. Dzumhur backhand down the line. Sinner with a volley. Dzumhur with a forehand. Oh, he flicked it just wide. And it's 15-love. Benchage is already up a break. What else is going on? As that goes out by Dzumhur. 30-love. Love. And a fault second serve. 40-love. By the way, FAA is in a tiebreak with Fucsovic. First set. We could watch Medvedev. We could watch Medi. All right, serve into the backhand of Dzumhur. Backhand up the line from Sinner into the forehand of Dzumhur. To the forehand of Sinner. Dzumhur backhand. Into the forehand of Sinner. And he rips it cross-court for a winner. 5-3. Sinner in the second. I'm just trying to think, though, because I want to avoid double headers if I can, because I just I'm just not really in the mood to do double headers at this early on, unless we have to. I mean, we probably could watch Medvedev after this if Sinner finishes this match, because Anisimova comes on and then Eala comes on, so we do have some time between. We could watch Medvedev. He's playing against a Japanese wildcard, Sakamoto. I'm unfamiliar with, so we could learn something. Backhand slice lob by Dzumhur, too short. Sinner with a volley, and then puts away the second volley, and it's love 15. So we could watch Medvedev. Andy Murray's schedule is to be unveiled at the All England Club next year. Okay, I am seeing a lot of AI images of it, so I'm skeptical. But has the All England Club made a statement about it, or are they just like? Is it just people like speculating? Is it what people like? People want it, but yeah, it's all. Have Wimbledon said that that's happening, or is it just like rumors? I'm guessing they must have made a statement. All right, love 15. But yeah, Federer's not getting a statue. Sorry. Still, Federer's not getting a statue. Double fault Dzumhur, love 30. I vote for no early double headers. Yeah, we only do double headers in a case of emergency. Like, both world number ones are playing side by side. By the way, Sabalenka had some very fun comments, and I agree with what she said. How she got moved onto the outside courts, and she was like confused. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Sinner hits a winner, love 40. But she said how exciting it was for the fans out on the outside courts to get to see her, and I'm like, that's exactly what we were saying yesterday. Anyway, Sinner's got match points. He has cruised through this match, and the Sunshine Double is on. Backhand return goes out by Sinner, and it's 15-40. Match point number 2. First serve is a fault. Second serve. As a return from Sinner goes the back end of Dzumhur. Sinner with a volley. Dzumhur with a pass. Goes in the net. And Sinner takes the match in straight sets. Cruises to victory. Really didn't break a sweat, to be honest. All right. Sinner takes the win. And he will play the winner of Mahatch and Mutay. I kind of want to see him play Mahatch. I think if he plays Mutay, it might be like this. But Mahatch could be interesting. Mahatch does put is a bit of a. By the way, we have to watch. Actually, we're going to watch Medvedev because Sakamoto is the Junior Australian Open champion. We're going to have to. We're going to watch the next match because of Medvedev, but also because who he's playing is might be someone we need to learn more about because he could be something. Ray Sakamoto is somebody we need to watch. See what's up. I hope stupid computer. I hope it's Mahatch and I hope Mahatch is healthy because he already played a tough match. Might be interesting. We'll definitely be watching Sinner as we always do. I don't think we've missed a Sinner match since I can remember. All right, but yeah, we'll watch. We've got some time, so we can watch Medvedev and Sakamoto. In the meantime, before our the next matches. By the way, Gauff's playing Parks tonight as well, which I'm really excited to see because they are friends and they have played. I think they played earlier this year, didn't they? Did they play in Australia? I can't remember. But yeah. And chat, yes, I am just stalling, trying to get this next match up on the screen. But yeah, we'll learn a little bit about this new player that we haven't seen before, we haven't watched before. Watch Osaka Gibson? No, we don't watch Aussies. Especially this early in the tournament. But yeah, we can kick on and we can watch Medvedev. We'll watch Medvedev for Deb. Deb, we can watch Medvedev. This is for you. All right. And we'll keep an eye on what's going on. If this goes to like an epic 3-setter and it crashes into the next match, I'm going to be... it's my own fault. But we'll watch it. Because otherwise I'm going to sit here for a couple of hours doing nothing. So I'd rather watch some tennis. All right. Let me just... All right. It'd be fun to watch Medi because Medi's kicking off at the moment. He seems to be back in the groove, you know. Which court is Eala and Lynette? That's on the court that Keys is playing on right now. So she'll be on after Anisimova, who's playing after Keys. All right. So yeah, I'll send you over to this one, and I'll be back in 5 to watch Medi take on Sakamoto, and we'll learn a bit about Sakamoto. Like I said, was he the junior? He's a 19-year-old, so he must have been the junior champion last year. 2024 Australian Open junior champion, Ray Sakamoto. against Medvedev, who is back. All right, what are we doing? There we go. But jump on over, and we'll keep watching this one. But Sinner wins 3-3, 1 hour 11 minutes, and gets it done. He's in the third round, Sunshine Double. I feel like he could do it. I feel like he could do it. First time in a decade it's been done. It hasn't been done for a decade. But Medvedev coming up next.